The reason your manifestations aren't working might have nothing to do with your mindset, and everything to do with the invisible energy fields around you. You've tried visualizing. You've made your vision boards. You've recited affirmations with conviction and even scripted out your perfect future. But still, the dream job hasn't materialized. The bank account isn't reflecting the abundance you've been calling in. The soulmate hasn't arrived. And deep down, you're starting to wonder, why isn't this working? Today, you're going to hear something radically different from the recycled advice you've already heard. Because the truth is, manifestation isn't just about mindset. It isn't only about being positive, saying the right words, or repeating mantras until you're blue in the face. That's surface level. And the surface is not where creation happens. Creation happens beneath the surface. In a realm where everything is energy. A realm where science and spirituality start speaking the same language. We're talking about the quantum field, a real, scientifically validated phenomenon that describes the very nature of existence. This isn't abstract theory. This is the unseen fabric of reality that governs the outcomes of your life. And if you don't understand how this field works or how to interact with it, you will keep feeling stuck, confused, and frustrated with why things don't shift. Here's the mind-bending part. The quantum field contains all possible outcomes of your life, existing simultaneously as waves of potential. You are not moving through time. You are tuning into timelines, shaping your personal reality based on the frequency you emit. Your job isn't to force things into place. It's to align with what already exists in the field. And if it's not showing up, it's not because it doesn't exist. It's because you're not tuned to it. In this powerful, eye-opening breakdown, you're going to discover exactly why manifestation may not be working for you. But more than that, you'll gain a new lens, a completely different understanding of how your energy, beliefs, and subconscious patterns are interacting with the infinite possibilities within the quantum field. We'll explore how your body is more than biology. It's an energetic instrument. We'll pull back the curtain on why positive thinking isn't enough. We'll expose how hidden frequencies you don't even know you're emitting may be overriding your desires. And we'll unpack how fear, doubt, and past entanglements could be subtly anchoring you to the wrong reality. This isn't another pep talk. This is the energetic blueprint of why things manifest or don't. And here's the promise. By the end of this, you'll understand the actual mechanics of reality creation. You'll gain practical, grounded insights that link consciousness, quantum theory, and the missing keys that most manifestation advice completely overlooks. So if you've ever said, "Why do I keep getting the same results no matter how hard I try?" Keep watching, because the field is always responding. The question is, what is it responding to? Let's begin with the foundation. Could the life you want already exist, just in a frequency you can't see? Let's get something clear right away. Matter is not as solid as it seems. At the atomic level, everything is made up of energy. That includes your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your goals, your future. Everything you perceive as tangible is actually a complex field of vibration. What we call reality is an energetic construct. And at the heart of this construct is the quantum field, a universal matrix of vibrating energy that responds not to your words, but to your frequency. This field isn't a metaphor. It's measurable, observable, and described by the most advanced physics of our time. Here's how it works. At the quantum level, particles don't exist in a single location. They exist as waves of probability, potential states that collapse into one actual outcome when observed. This isn't philosophical. It's fundamental physics. That means your life isn't unfolding in one rigid direction. It's collapsing into form based on energetic influence. And you are part of that influence. So what determines which version of reality becomes your experience? Your energy. Not just the energy of your thoughts, but the deeper, often hidden frequencies that you emit through your emotional state, subconscious beliefs, and internal coherence. The field doesn't just hear your desires. It reads your vibration. If you're not resonating at the frequency of the reality you want, it won't show up. Not because it doesn't exist, but because it exists somewhere else in the field, outside your current alignment. Let's use a simple analogy. Think of a radio. The music you want is already being broadcast, but unless your dial is tuned to the right station, you'll hear static or a completely different song. Most people are trying to manifest success while tuned to the frequency of scarcity. They're asking for love while holding a deep resonance of abandonment or rejection. And the field, like a mirror, reflects back what's present, not what's requested. That's why knowing what you want isn't enough. You have to match it energetically. That's where alignment comes in. Alignment isn't an abstract buzzword. It's the measurable synchronization of your inner state with the outcome you desire. And alignment is impossible unless you first recognize that everything, including you, is energy. Your body is a conductor. Your thoughts are electrical impulses. Your emotions are magnetic signals. This is more than poetic language, it's electromagnetic physics. Your heart alone emits a field thousands of times more powerful than your brain. It's not just about what you think. It's about what you feel, believe, and embody. Now here's the catch. Because you're constantly vibrating, you're constantly creating. But if you're not aware of your own energetic patterns, you're probably creating by default. That's why life can feel like it's repeating itself, even when you consciously want something new. You can't just change your external circumstances. You have to change the blueprint that creates them. And that blueprint lives in your energy. It's not stored in your to-do list. It's not saved in your planner. It's encoded in your frequency. Every goal you set, every vision you imagine, already exists as a potential in the field. But if you're holding on to doubt, fear, or a subconscious belief that says it's not possible for me, you're canceling the signal with static. You're tuning to the wrong station. So here's the first principle to lock in manifestation is frequency matching, not wishful thinking. If the version of you who has the life you want vibrates differently than you do right now, you have to close that gap, not mentally but energetically. In upcoming segments, we'll look at how that misalignment forms and how to shift it. But it starts with this unshakable truth. You're not a passive being hoping for good things to happen. You are an energetic transmitter, already creating. The question is, what are you tuned to? If just thinking positive worked, wouldn't you already have what you want? Let's address one of the most common misconceptions in the manifestation world, and it's one that's led a lot of people straight into confusion, burnout, or quiet self-doubt. The idea that your thoughts create your reality is only partially true. Yes, thoughts are powerful. Yes, your focus has influence. But thoughts alone don't manifest outcomes. Not in the way most people are taught. The belief that all you need to do is think positively, visualize your dream life, and it will magically unfold. That belief leaves out a massive piece of the puzzle. And that missing piece is exactly why many people are frustrated, secretly wondering if something is wrong with them when things don't shift. Let's get specific. The quantum field doesn't respond to words. It responds to vibration. It responds to frequency. And frequency is not just emitted by the mind. It's broadcast from the entire being, your emotions, your nervous system, your body's energetic coherence. You can be thinking thoughts of success while radiating the energy of fear. You can be affirming, I am abundant, while your subconscious is running a program that says, I never have enough. And in that contradiction, the stronger signal wins. Always, the field reads coherence, not contradiction. It tunes into your dominant energetic state, not your momentary intentions. And this is where so many people go wrong. They assume that if they just repeat the right mantras, if they just visualize hard enough, they'll override their underlying patterns. But those patterns don't live in your conscious mind. They live in the subconscious, and the subconscious is operating your system over 90% of the time. Let that settle in. Over 90% of your energetic signal is not coming from your deliberate thoughts. It's coming from automated, conditioned responses that you may not even be aware of. That's why someone can do everything right on paper and still feel stuck. Because no matter how beautiful the vision board looks, the field is responding to what's underneath. So let's take a step back and ask, where do these subconscious patterns come from? They're formed by early life experiences, emotional conditioning, trauma, inherited beliefs, societal programming. These patterns become your baseline energetic state, and unless they are addressed, They override conscious intentions every single time. That's not disempowering. That's liberating, because it means you're not broken. It means your manifestations aren't missing because you're not trying hard enough. It means the problem isn't you. It's the operating system running in the background. So the real question becomes, how do you change the signal you're sending into the field? Start by understanding this. Thoughts create potential, but emotion gives it charge. When you think of something you desire, wealth, love, health, it only becomes real to the field when it is combined with an energetic state that matches the outcome. Let's break this down. Say you want to manifest financial abundance. You think about it daily. You visualize checks coming in. You repeat, "I am wealthy" each morning. But internally, you feel anxious about money. Your body is tense when bills come in. There's a quiet sense of unworthiness around receiving. And part of you believes that money is hard to earn or doesn't stick around. In that case, your emotional field is contradicting your verbal intention. And in quantum terms, the field will collapse into the timeline that aligns with the stronger, more coherent signal. In this case, it's the anxiety, not the affirmation. This is not about blame. This is about awareness. Because once you can identify the incongruence, you can start to change it. One of the most direct ways to shift this is through emotional regulation and nervous system rewiring. The nervous system plays a massive role in your frequency. If your body doesn't feel safe, it will emit signals of survival, not creation. You cannot manifest expansive realities from a contracted state. If your nervous system is dysregulated, you'll keep attracting more situations that reflect that internal chaos. That's why practices like meditation, somatic release, breathwork, and trauma-informed healing aren't just self-care. They are energetic recalibrators. They shift the baseline signal your body emits. They create inner coherence. And coherence is what the field responds to with precision. Another way to address this is through belief reprogramming. This means identifying the beliefs running behind the scenes and replacing them with ones that support your desired outcome, not just mentally but energetically. And this can't be done through repetition alone. It has to reach the subconscious. Techniques like hypnotherapy, subconscious affirmations during theta brainwave states, and emotion-based visualization are far more effective than repeating phrases while stressed or disconnected. But none of this works if you're not honest with yourself. You have to ask, what do I actually believe about this thing I want? Do I believe I deserve it? Do I believe it's available to me? Do I feel safe having it? Until you can answer those questions with emotional truth, not just verbal assertion, you'll be operating from a split signal. And the field won't respond clearly. It will reflect back the mixed vibration you're sending. Let's summarize the shift here. Manifestation is not about thinking harder or forcing belief. It's about aligning your inner system to resonate with the reality you want. That means regulating the nervous system, healing emotional patterns, reprogramming subconscious beliefs, feeling safe in the embodiment of your desire, generating coherence between thought, emotion, and energy. This is the missing piece most people never talk about. This is why thoughts alone are not enough. The mind may speak, but the field listens to the whole system. The next phase of this journey will take you even deeper into this energetic language. Because now that you understand why incoherence blocks your signal, you're ready to learn how your focus and attention directly shape the version of reality you experience. That's where we go next. Because the moment you observe, you influence. And what you focus on is what forms. Are you unknowingly freezing your future in place with every thought you observe? Your reality doesn't exist in fixed form. That's not an opinion. That's quantum law. At the subatomic level, the building blocks of your world don't exist as solid objects. They exist as waves. These are called probability waves, and they represent countless potential versions of a thing before it becomes actual. In simple terms, nothing is set in stone. Everything exists as potential until something interacts with it. And that something is awareness. This principle is known as the observer effect, one of the most groundbreaking revelations in quantum physics. When a conscious observer focuses attention on a wave of possibility, that wave collapses into a single outcome. Possibility becomes actuality. and not randomly according to the influence of the observer. Now pause and let that land. This means your focus is not passive. It's creative. Every time you give your attention to something, you're shaping it electrically, energetically, and ultimately experientially. This is not just spiritual theory. This is measured science. The act of observation influences the state of what is observed. So, how does this relate to manifestation? Most people think they're waiting for a result to appear. But in reality, they're already interacting with waves of potential moment by moment. And with every thought, every judgment, every belief, they're collapsing a version of reality into form. Here's the twist. If you keep observing lack, failure, or absence, even unintentionally, you keep reinforcing the exact version of life you want to change. Not because you're weak, but because your attention is functioning like a spotlight. And the field responds to the spotlight, not the wish behind it. Let's say you're trying to attract love, but every day your attention is on the loneliness. Your mind is looping on the absence, the waiting, the empty space. Even if you're doing all the visualizations in the morning, if your default attention returns to what's missing, guess what you're collapsing? The version of reality where love is still absent. That version solidifies not because it's faded, but because it's repeatedly observed. Now, this isn't about ignoring your current reality. This is about understanding what attention does. It's not neutral. It's generative. And the field doesn't make decisions based on what you like or dislike. It reflects what you repeatedly engage with energetically and emotionally. In other words, you are not just a participant in life. You are a chooser of outcomes based on the direction of your focus. Here's the part that most people miss. You don't collapse possibilities with logic. You collapse them with emotional charge. The more emotion you give something, the more weight it carries in the field. That's why fear and anxiety are so potent. They anchor you to a version of reality through constant reinforcement. And because fear is often more emotionally intense than neutral or even positive thought, it creates strong anchors to the unwanted. So if you're emotionally activated by the thing you don't want, guess what's gaining strength in your field? That's right. The version of life where that thing keeps happening. Now here's the solution. It's not suppression. It's redirection. The most powerful thing you can do is become a master of your focus. Not by force, but by awareness. You must learn to observe from a place of neutrality, or better yet, from alignment. That means not feeding mental loops about what's missing, not obsessively checking the current state for proof, not letting the mind default to what's wrong. Every time you mentally rehearse what you don't want, you're collapsing it again. You're hitting repeat, and the field, impersonal and perfect, echoes it back. So ask yourself this: what version of reality am I activating through my focus right now? Is this version one I want to strengthen? Or is it one I've simply grown used to observing? Awareness is the switch. Once you realize your focus is collapsing outcomes, you regain creative control. You stop reacting to what is and start shaping what will be. Let's make it practical. Start by creating focus rituals throughout the day. Short moments where you pause and check the direction of your attention. Are you observing from a place of alignment or resistance? Are you reinforcing lack or activating potential? Next, develop emotional neutrality toward unwanted outcomes. This doesn't mean ignoring them. It means deactivating your emotional charge. The less emotionally reactive you are to what you don't want, the weaker its signal becomes. Without attention, without emotional reinforcement, that version starts to dissolve back into possibility. It loses density. It loses form. Then, redirect your awareness not toward wishful thinking, but toward energetic alignment. Use your attention as a sculpting tool, not to fantasize, but to stabilize the version of life you actually want to live. Visualizing isn't about daydreaming. It's about choosing a signal and reinforcing it emotionally until it becomes the dominant frequency. It's not mental play. It's vibrational practice. Understand this clearly. The observer effect gives you more power than you think. But with that power comes a responsibility. You can no longer afford to be casual with your focus. You can't afford to keep watching outcomes you don't want while wondering why they persist. Focus is your steering wheel. Emotional energy is your fuel, and the field is your mirror. You're not waiting for your reality to change. You're already shaping it now in this moment. The only question is, which version are you locking into place? We've now uncovered a critical truth. The act of attention is an act of creation. The next step in this transformation is to uncover the hidden frequencies that may be silently canceling your signal. Because it's not just what you observe, it's the energy you carry while observing it. And sometimes, without realizing it, your energy is saying something completely different than your words. That's what we explore next. What if your energy is saying one thing, and your words are saying another? You've likely heard that you attract what you are. But the deeper truth is, you attract what you emit. Not just what you think. Not just what you say out loud. But what your entire being, your nervous system, your emotional field, your subconscious patterns, is constantly broadcasting, even when you're not aware of it. This is where manifestation gets real. Because it's one thing to set goals and speak affirmations. It's another thing entirely to become conscious of the silent frequencies you're sending out every single day. Frequencies that may be quietly blocking, delaying, or distorting the outcomes you desire. Let's break this down. Every thought has a frequency. Every emotion carries a vibrational imprint. Every belief you hold, even the ones you don't know you hold, emits a signal into the field. These signals layer together to form your energetic identity. And that identity is what the quantum field reads and responds to. You are like a transmitter tower. And the energy you emit is determined not just by your conscious desires, but by your dominant inner state. So here's the question. Are you broadcasting clarity or confusion? Confidence or contraction? Trust or tension? Now here's where it gets challenging. Most of these frequencies aren't being sent intentionally. They're being sent automatically, habitually, through unconscious behaviors, micro-emotions, bodily posture, tone of voice, and even breath patterns. And because they're so familiar, you don't notice them. But the field does. Let's say you're saying, I'm ready to receive abundance. But you're constantly in a state of tightness around spending, anxiety around bills, shame around self-worth, or resentment toward those who have more. That underlying emotional noise is a stronger signal than the words you're speaking. And that's what shapes what the field reflects back. It's not enough to declare a desire. You have to emit coherence. Here's what that means. Energetic coherence is when your thoughts, emotions, and body are in alignment. When they're not, your signal becomes fragmented. And the field responds to the dominant or most emotionally charged part of your signal. This is why people say, I'm manifesting love, while subconsciously projecting fear of rejection. Or they visualize wealth while subconsciously vibrating guilt for wanting more. Those hidden frequencies distort the signal and bring back mixed results. And often, these patterns aren't visible until you slow down and pay attention. So let's talk about how to spot them. Start with body awareness. Your body reveals your baseline energy. Are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw tight? Is your breathing shallow? These aren't just physical sensations. They're energetic indicators. Chronic tightness is a signal of contraction, self-protection, and unresolved emotion. If your body is in a defensive state, your energy is broadcasting threat, not receptivity. Next, notice your language cues. The way you talk, especially casually, reveals your underlying vibration. Do you say things like, knowing my luck? Or, I just don't have time? Or, nothing ever works out for me? These phrases aren't just habits. They're vibrational confirmations of your dominant frequency. Then observe your emotional reflexes. What's your default reaction to uncertainty? Do you lean into curiosity and trust, or contract into fear and control? The field is always reflecting your inner orientation, not your outer performance. Now here's a big one, unconscious emotional loops. These are the feelings that run like background music. Frustration, resentment, shame, jealousy. Most of the time, we rationalize these feelings or push them down. But if they stay unprocessed, they become embedded frequencies. They shape your energetic identity, and they broadcast a signal far more powerful than any visualization ever could. The solution isn't to fake positivity. That doesn't work. The solution is emotional congruence. You must become energetically honest with yourself. That means acknowledging the hidden vibrations, meeting them with awareness, and choosing to shift, not just through thought, but through full system recalibration. Let's make this practical. First, regulate your nervous system. If your body is locked in stress, your energy is broadcasting survival. No manifestation can stabilize in a body that doesn't feel safe. Use breathwork, grounding, or cold exposure to shift out of the stress loop and into presence. Presence is power. Presence emits trust. Second, speak only from alignment. That means stop declaring desires you're not energetically supporting. If saying, "I am wealthy" triggers resistance, don't repeat it robotically. Shift it to something emotionally honest like, "I'm learning to feel safe with wealth," or "I'm building a new relationship with abundance." Let your words harmonize with your current frequency while nudging it upward. Third, clear the residue. Energetic hygiene matters. Just like you wash your body, you must clear emotional static. Use practices like EFT tapping, energy clearing meditations, movement, or even expressive writing to release frequencies that no longer serve. The cleaner your signal, the more precise your manifestations become. Fourth, train yourself to feel the frequency before the result arrives. Most people wait for circumstances to shift before they shift emotionally. That's backwards. The field responds to who you are before the evidence shows up. So if you want to attract love, become the version of yourself that feels connected now. If you want to create wealth, anchor the frequency of abundance now, not later. Use your breath, your environment, and your intention to start generating the inner state that matches the outcome. This is frequency-first living. And once you shift from words to energy, from pretending to embodying, the field begins to reflect your inner truth with far greater precision. You're no longer trying to convince the universe. You're becoming the vibration that commands alignment. Here's what to take with you from this moment. The field is always listening, but it doesn't hear words. It hears coherence. It hears emotion. It hears truth. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to force it. You simply have to become aware of what you're already sending and align that signal to the version of life you truly want to live. Next, we'll explore the invisible static that distorts even the most aligned signals. Because even if you clean up your frequency, if there's unresolved fear or trauma hiding in your field, it can still scramble the signal. We call this interference. And now it's time to clear it. Could your fear of failure be acting like static in a radio signal, blocking your manifestation? You've cleaned up your thoughts. You've refined your focus. You've started paying close attention to the energy you're putting out. But something still feels off. It's not that you aren't clear. It's not that you aren't trying. And it's definitely not that you're lazy or unworthy. What's happening now is interference. In quantum physics, interference is a well-known phenomenon. When two waves intersect, they either amplify each other, constructive interference, or cancel each other out, destructive interference. This concept doesn't just apply to light or sound. It applies to energy. And you, as a vibrational being, are no exception. Your desire sends a wave into the field. But if that wave collides with a stronger one coming from fear, self-doubt, or unresolved trauma, your signal gets scrambled. That desire doesn't disappear, but it can't stabilize. And that's the key. The field is always responding, but it needs a clean, coherent signal to lock onto. If interference is present, the transmission weakens. It becomes distorted. The field reflects that distortion back to you not as punishment but as pure physics. Now let's go deeper. Fear and doubt are not just emotions. They're energetic imprints. They form energetic patterns in the body and nervous system, often long before we're aware they exist. Once embedded, these patterns begin operating like hidden filters, shaping the frequency we emit without us realizing it. Let's say you desire success. You can feel it. You can see it. You've been focused on it. But buried under that clarity is a subconscious fear of visibility or judgment or the responsibility success brings. Maybe there's a past experience where you tried and failed, and that memory is still echoing in your energy field. That's interference. The desire says, I'm ready. The fear says, I'm not safe. The doubt says, I don't trust it. And the field picks up the strongest frequency in the mix. Here's the truth. Most people have not failed to manifest because they didn't try hard enough. They failed because they never cleared the energetic contradictions between desire and fear. Your conscious mind may say yes, but your energy may still be saying no. And when that's the case, no matter how much effort you apply, your signal won't stabilize long enough to produce real-world evidence. So how do you identify interference? It usually shows up in 3 ways. 1. Emotional resistance. When you think about your goal, do you feel expansive or tight? Do you feel light or heavy? That tightness is a sign that part of you doesn't feel safe having what you say you want. Fear of change. Fear of losing people. Fear of failure. That emotional friction is the first red flag. 2. Self-sabotage loops. You take steps toward your goal, then suddenly withdraw, delay, or procrastinate. You start projects you never finish. You say yes, then avoid follow-through. These aren't flaws in character. These are energetic protectors trying to keep you safe from perceived danger. 3. Overanalysis and control. You find yourself obsessing over the how, micromanaging timelines, or spiraling in impatience. That's not focus. That's fear disguised as logic. Control is an interference signal because it transmits lack of trust. And lack of trust creates static. Now let's talk about clearing it. The first step is acknowledgement. Stop trying to fight fear with more affirmation. Stop pretending you're not doubtful when you are. The most powerful thing you can do is meet the fear directly, with awareness, not resistance. When you suppress fear, it hides deeper in your field. When you bring it into the light, it begins to lose its charge. Ask yourself this: what am I afraid will happen if I actually get what I want? Who might I disappoint? What might I lose? What uncomfortable growth might be required? These answers often hold the key to the interference that's been blocking your path. Next, regulate the body's stress response. Remember, your nervous system doesn't distinguish between emotional and physical danger. If the subconscious associates your desire with any form of risk, your body will stay in low-level protection mode. And when the body is guarded, the field receives a distorted signal. Use simple nervous system resets, slow breathing, gentle movement, somatic release to signal safety. When the body feels safe, the signal strengthens. When the signal strengthens, the field can lock onto it. Then, choose integration over rejection. Instead of trying to eliminate doubt, integrate it. Instead of fighting fear, listen to it. Ask, what are you trying to protect me from? When you honor fear as an old survival strategy, not an enemy, its power softens. This frequency begins to shift. One of the most effective tools here is emotional alchemy. This means consciously transmuting lower vibrations, like fear, shame, or guilt, into higher frequencies like trust, courage, and self-compassion. You do this by sitting with the emotion without judgment, breathing into it, and letting it move through. Emotions are energy in motion, but only when allowed. Another key approach is shadow work, facing the aspects of self that you've rejected or buried. The parts of you that feel unworthy, ashamed, angry, or afraid. Those parts aren't flaws. They're fragments of energy stuck in survival mode. And each one carries a piece of your power. When you reclaim those fragments, your signal becomes whole again, coherent, undivided, and that's what the field responds to. Finally, cultivate trust-based focus. This means practicing belief in the unseen, not as blind hope, but as energetic discipline. Trust is a frequency. When you hold it, even in the absence of evidence, you stabilize your signal. And when the signal stabilizes, the field has no choice but to reflect it back. Let's summarize what this really means. Fear isn't weakness. Doubt isn't failure. They're just signals. Signals that tell you where interference exists in your field. And once you find the interference, you can shift it. Not by force, but by frequency correction. You are not broken. Your field is not resisting you. But if your signal is scrambled, the field reflects the confusion. Not because it's rejecting you, but because it's perfectly mirroring what you're broadcasting. Now it's time to clear the static. Because the reality you want is waiting. Not in the future. In a different frequency, one that emerges when interference dissolves. In the next chapter, we'll explore the invisible threads still anchoring you to timelines you're trying to move beyond. Because even if your frequency is strong, you may still be entangled with past energy, and that connection has consequences. It's time to cut the cords. Are your past relationships or regrets anchoring you to realities you're trying to leave behind? You've clarified your vision. You've tuned your frequency. You've started regulating fear and aligning your emotional state. But something still feels held back, like an invisible weight, a subtle pull keeping you circling familiar outcomes. It's not that you're not aligned. It's not that you're not trying. It's that you're still entangled. In quantum physics, entanglement describes a phenomenon where two particles become connected in such a way that even when separated by vast distances, a change in one instantly affects the other. It defies classical logic, but it's real. And it doesn't just apply to particles. It applies to people, to memories, to timelines, to energetic attachments. You are not just a self-contained being moving through time. You are an energetic node in a vast network of connection. And many of those connections are active, even when the events, relationships, or identities they're tied to have long ended. This is where entanglement becomes personal. Because just like in physics, your energy field can remain linked to past people, traumas, environments, and decisions. These links don't require your conscious permission. They're formed through emotional charge, repetition, and unprocessed energy. And once in place, they form an energetic tether that ties your present state to old frequencies. So while your conscious mind is aiming forward, your energetic field may still be looping backward. Here's what that looks like in real life. You try to create a healthy relationship, but you're still carrying the imprint of betrayal from someone you never fully released. You start a new financial path, but you're energetically locked in fear and shame from a business that failed years ago. You try to become more visible, but your body still holds the memory of being shamed, rejected, or dismissed. The past becomes present, not because it deserves to be, but because it's still alive in your field. These are unresolved energetic entanglements. And if they're not addressed, they don't just affect your emotions, they distort your signal. They blur your frequency. They split your alignment between the version of you you're becoming and the version you once were. Let's get specific. There are 4 main types of entanglement that block manifestation. 1. Emotional entanglement with past relationships. Whether it's romantic, family, friendship, or even professional. If a connection ended with emotional charge and never fully closed, that cord can remain active. And when cords stay active, energy leaks. You keep unconsciously scanning for that person. You rehearse old arguments. You carry their judgment. That mental space isn't just nostalgic. It's vibrationally binding. 2. Identity entanglement with former versions of yourself. This happens when you've outgrown an old role, like being the caretaker, the failure, the underdog, but part of you still clings to that identity. Maybe it's tied to belonging, or survival, or guilt. Either way, that version of you still exists in the field, and if you're emotionally attached to it, you'll keep creating outcomes that match it. 3. Trauma-based entanglement with past environments. If you grew up in chaos, poverty, or suppression, your body adapted to that frequency. And adaptation isn't just mental, it's energetic. Even when you leave the environment, the resonance stays in your system until intentionally released. You may find yourself recreating familiar dysfunction, not because you want it, but because it's still your set point. 4. Repetition entanglement from looping thought patterns. If you're constantly revisiting the same regret, reliving the same what could have been, or mentally cycling the same fear story, congratulations, you're energetically entangled. The thought itself becomes a tether, and repeated enough times, it forms a loop in the quantum field that magnetizes matching outcomes. Now let's be very clear. These entanglements aren't your fault. They're not a moral failure. They're the natural byproduct of emotional imprinting in an energetic universe. But you are not stuck with them. You can release them. You can reclaim your energy. You can cut the cords not out of rejection but liberation. So how do you do that? First, bring the entanglement into awareness. You cannot release what you pretend isn't there. Ask yourself, who or what still feels emotionally unfinished in my life? Which part of my past still defines my self-image? What memory still stings, still pulls me out of presence? What do I keep reliving even though I claim to have moved on? Don't overthink, just listen. Your body will tell the truth. Next, activate energetic separation. This isn't about hate. It's not even about forgiveness in the traditional sense. It's about recognizing that you can't carry their energy and yours at the same time. Use cord-cutting meditations. Speak it out loud. Write letters you never send. Use visualization to see the ties severed and your energy returned. When done with presence and emotional honesty, these rituals are not symbolic. They're vibrational recalibrations. They shift the frequency pattern held in your field. Then, reset your self-identity. This is where most people stop too soon. They cut the cord, but they don't anchor the new version of self. If you want to release the old timeline, you have to choose a new vibration to stabilize. Ask, who am I without that wound, that role, that regret? What does it feel like to be energetically sovereign? What version of me am I willing to fully embody now? Reinforce that version daily. Speak from it. Move from it. Breathe from it. The field listens to embodiment, not explanation. Finally, protect your field. Once you've cleared an entanglement, the space it leaves behind is open. And nature abhors a vacuum. If you don't consciously fill it with new intention, old frequencies may creep back in by default. So guard your focus. Choose your environment. Curate your conversations. You're not being fragile, you're being energetically responsible. Because here's the deeper truth. Every energetic tether you cut returns power to your signal. Every past loop you release frees bandwidth for new timelines. Every memory you transmute becomes a gateway to higher resonance. You don't owe the past your future. You don't have to drag unfinished business into your becoming. The version of you who's fully free is not someone you have to earn your way into. That version already exists in the field, untainted, unburdened, and ready to be activated. And now that you've cleared the cords, you're ready to meet them. But first, you need to understand something critical. Time is not linear. And to create the future you want, you must stop thinking of it as something ahead of you and start tuning into it as something already accessible. The future isn't waiting. It's here. Let's access it. Your future self already has what you want, and you just need to sync with them. Most people are waiting for the future. They say, one day I'll have the money. One day I'll meet the right person. One day I'll feel like the best version of myself. But one day is a trap, because it assumes time is linear. It assumes that reality unfolds in a straight line from point A to point B. It assumes that the future exists somewhere ahead, and you must wait, work, or suffer your way toward it. That's not how it works. Not in quantum mechanics, and not in energetic reality. Let's reframe everything. Linear time is a function of perception, not of truth. What we call time is actually the way consciousness organizes experience. From the perspective of the quantum field, everything exists simultaneously. Past, present, and future are not arranged in a line. They are all happening now in different vibrational layers. This isn't metaphor. This is science. Physicists describe time as nonlinear, multidimensional, and subjective. And that has massive implications for manifestation. Because if the future isn't ahead of you, it means it's already available. Not through time travel, but through frequency matching. Every potential version of your life already exists in the field. And each version vibrates at a unique energetic signature. Your job isn't to chase the future. Your job is to tune into the version of you who already lives it. Let that settle in. This changes everything. You are not walking a path. You are choosing a timeline. Not with effort, but with vibration. And the moment you align with the frequency of your future self, the illusion of delay collapses. The field doesn't respond to your timeline. It responds to your tuning. Here's where the trap begins for most people. They live in a waiting frequency. They postpone their emotions. They postpone alignment. They wait to feel the joy until they see the result. They wait to feel worthy until they receive the evidence. That's backwards. Because emotion is what activates the timeline. You don't receive the new reality and then feel aligned. You feel aligned and then the new reality stabilizes. If you want to become successful, you have to stop waiting to feel empowered. If you want to be in love, you have to stop waiting to feel whole. If you want to attract abundance, you have to stop waiting to feel worthy. The field isn't waiting. It's ready now. The question is, are you tuned to it now? Let's make this concrete. Start by getting clear on who your future self actually is, not in theory, but in vibration. Ask, what does their energy feel like in their body? How do they walk into a room? What do they no longer tolerate? What decisions do they make without hesitation? Don't intellectualize it. Feel it, because feeling is the bridge. Once you begin to emotionally embody your future self, the field begins to reflect that version back to you, not later, but now. In synchronicities, in sudden shifts, in timelines that accelerate. Now let's expose the next part of the illusion. Cause and effect. Most people think, once I get the job, I'll feel confident. Once I'm in the relationship, I'll feel lovable. Once I make the money, I'll feel secure. That's cause and effect logic. And it keeps your power outside of you. Quantum manifestation flips that. You must become the effect before the cause arrives. In other words, feel the confidence first. Feel the love first. Feel the security first. Those emotions are not reactions. They are frequencies. And when those frequencies become stable in your field, the outer world reshapes to match them. It's not about pretending. It's about alignment. You're not faking confidence. You're accessing it from the version of you who already lives the life you want. This brings us to a powerful practice. Identity resonance. To shift timelines, you must let go of who you think you are and become who you actually are energetically. Your current identity is a collection of patterns, beliefs, habits, reactions, self-perceptions. But your future identity is already vibrating in the field, waiting to be claimed. You don't have to create that version. You just have to remember them. To do this, set aside time each day to tune into that frequency. Use this structure. Sit in stillness and close your eyes. Drop into your body and breathe deeply. Ask, show me the version of me who already lives this life. Let the feeling emerge. Let it take shape in your posture, your breath, your expression. Then act from it. Speak from it. Move from it. Don't wait for circumstances to confirm the shift. Let your energy confirm the shift first. This is the collapse of time. And once you collapse time, you collapse resistance. You stop projecting your power into a distant future. You stop leaking your alignment into a version of reality that doesn't exist. You bring it all back into this moment, where manifestation actually happens. The field responds to now. Not yesterday, not next year, now. So if your energy says, I'll feel it when it happens, you stay in a waiting loop. But if your energy says, I feel it now because it's already mine, the loop ends. The timeline stabilizes. The field mirrors it. There is no waiting in quantum manifestation. There is only alignment. And alignment is immediate. So here's the truth. Time is not your obstacle. It's your illusion. The future doesn't unfold in front of you. It unfolds from you. Every choice you make, every emotion you stabilize, every belief you embody, it all sends out a frequency that draws the matching timeline closer, or pushes it further. You're not on a journey through time. You're moving through states of consciousness. And your job is to keep shifting into the state that matches your desired outcome. Let go of the calendar. Let go of the clock. Let go of the version of you who thinks manifestation takes time. It doesn't take time. It takes tuning. And now that you understand that, you're ready to learn how to fully sync with the version of your reality that already holds what you've been asking for. Because you're not waiting for the dream life to appear. You're learning how to receive what's already present in the field. Now we shift into that sync. Now we align the field. Is there a parallel version of you already living your dream life? Right now, there is a version of you who already has the health, wealth, love, clarity, freedom, and fulfillment you've been seeking. Not in fantasy, not in theory. That version exists as a real energetic possibility inside the quantum field. It's not far away. It's not separate. It's vibrating at a specific frequency, and it's waiting to be matched. Everything you desire already exists as a complete energetic blueprint in the field of infinite possibility. And your ability to experience that version of reality depends on one thing: synchronization. The quantum field contains every timeline you could possibly live. Not just one path, not just one fate, but an entire spectrum of outcomes, each based on your energetic state. This isn't science fiction. It's quantum logic. And the key is to stop asking, "How do I get there?" and start asking, "What version of me already lives there? And how can I sync with them now?" Let's be clear. You don't need to create that reality. It's already created. You need to tune into it. You need to access its signal and stabilize it in your field. The field operates like a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you're being. So if your desire lives on the frequency of peace, joy, and expansion, but your daily energy lives in stress, fear, and survival, you're tuned to the wrong signal. And that's why things don't shift. You cannot receive from a station you're not tuned to. So how do you sync with the version of reality you desire? Start with the core principle. You sync by becoming. You don't wait for evidence. You don't chase outcomes. You become the version of you who already lives it, and the field reflects it back. This is the opposite of striving. This is alignment. Let's break down the process. Step 1. Identify the energetic signature of your desired reality. This means asking, what does it feel like to live that life? What does my nervous system feel like in that version? What's the baseline emotion in my body each morning? What thoughts feel natural in that version, not forced but fluent? This is not about visualization. This is about emotional resonance. You're not imagining the result. You're tuning into the feeling field of it. You're locating the frequency of your future self and learning how to hold it in the present moment. Once you feel it, you move to the next step. Step 2. Generate coherence in your system. Coherence means your mind, heart, and body are broadcasting the same signal. This is critical. You can't think abundance while feeling lack. You can't visualize love while vibrating resentment. You can't plan success while carrying a body anchored in fear. The field responds to coherence. That's when synchronization occurs. To achieve coherence, use a simple method. Slow your breath. Drop your awareness into your heart. Bring up a feeling of gratitude, joy, or peace. Hold that feeling as you focus on your desired reality. Let your entire system relax into it. Not force, but presence. What you're doing here is aligning your biofield to the timeline of your desire. You're broadcasting a stable signal. And once it's consistent, the field begins to organize around it. That's synchronization. Step 3. Take action from the new frequency. This is where most people fall out of sync. They do the energy work but then take action from their old identity. That collapses the signal. You must act as the version of you who already lives the outcome. Not performatively but authentically. Ask, how would that version respond to this email? How would they handle this decision? How would they carry themselves in this conversation? You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be in congruence. Every aligned action becomes a stabilizing signal to the field. This is who I am now. And the field responds accordingly. Now let's talk about what breaks the sync. The biggest disruptors are doubt, overchecking, and emotional impatience. When you constantly check for results, you signal mistrust. When you doubt your signal, you weaken it. When you let impatience override the frequency, you start tuning back into lack. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, but it means disciplining your energy. You must hold the frequency before the evidence appears. The universe isn't testing you. It's tuning to you. And if your frequency keeps shifting based on external conditions, the mirror becomes foggy. Outcomes blur. Timelines destabilize. That's why the final step is so important. Step 4. Stabilize the signal over time. Your desired reality isn't a destination. is a frequency field. You can visit it in meditation, in emotion, in energy, but to fully receive it, you must live there vibrationally. That requires repetition. Not mechanical repetition, but intentional energetic maintenance. You don't become someone new by thinking about it once. You become someone new by consistently reinforcing that version through daily frequency alignment. And here's the beauty of it. As the sync deepens, the timeline begins to fold toward you. You don't chase it. It comes into resonance with your field. People show up. Opportunities align. Patterns break. The world shifts not because you forced it, but because you became the version that belongs to that world. You've synced with the parallel reality, and the field must respond. Let's anchor this. You are not separated from what you want. You are out of sync with it or in sync. And that's the only difference between delay and flow. The version of you who already has what you want is not a fantasy. They are real, accessible, and already encoded in the quantum field. Your job is to remember their frequency, stabilize it, and live it now. You don't have to build the bridge. You are the bridge. And now that you know how to tune, the field becomes a living mirror. In the next step of this transformation, we'll reveal the next level of synchronization, heart and mind working in unity. Because once your field is synced, you must make sure that your emotional and mental systems are not working against each other. Alignment requires internal harmony, and that's exactly where we're headed. Your heart might be trying to manifest something completely different than your mind. Are you listening? Your mind says, I want to be wealthy. Your heart whispers, I don't feel safe with money. Your mouth speaks confidence. Your body tightens when opportunity comes near. This is the frequency mismatch most people never see. And it's one of the biggest reasons manifestation efforts stall, glitch, or misfire. Because alignment isn't just about setting an intention. It's not just about visualizing outcomes or syncing with a timeline. It's about something deeper. Coherence. In energetic terms, coherence is the state in which your heart, brain, body, and emotional field are operating in harmony. There is no internal static, no hidden contradiction, no mental override of emotional truth. Coherence is the clean signal the quantum field responds to. It's the signal that makes manifestation magnetic. When you are coherent, your system functions as a unified transmitter. Your thoughts and emotions reinforce each other. Your actions flow without friction. Your presence becomes undeniable. But when coherence is missing, the field receives a split message. That's when you say one thing and feel another. That's when you take action but secretly doubt yourself. That's when results are inconsistent or completely absent. This isn't a mindset problem. This is a bioenergetic signal problem. And the key to solving it lies in creating harmony between the heart and the mind. Let's look at what each is doing. Your mind is a powerful projector. It creates concepts, stories, strategies, expectations. It can visualize possibilities, map out paths, and hold long-term intentions. Your heart, however, is the emotional command center of your field. It doesn't use words. It speaks in feeling. It transmits an electromagnetic signal that's far more powerful than the brain's. And it's directly linked to your intuitive intelligence. When these two are in sync, your energy becomes laser-focused. Thought becomes feeling. Feeling becomes belief. Belief becomes reality. But when they're not, you send two opposing frequencies into the field, and it reflects the confusion. Let's say your mind is affirming success, but your heart is still carrying pain from past rejection. That emotional charge is stronger than the affirmation. It overrides the mental image. Or let's say your heart feels drawn to a new path, but your mind floods with fear. What if I fail? What will people think? That mental noise cancels the heart's pull. The signal splits. The field stalls. This is the fragmentation that blocks flow. And it cannot be fixed through thinking harder. It requires coherence. So how do you create it? Start with the awareness of dissonance. Ask yourself, does my body feel in agreement with my goals? Do my thoughts feel aligned with my emotional truth? Am I trying to override intuition with logic? Most people have never truly asked these questions. They follow the think positive model without realizing that positivity without emotional resonance is just noise. When you're aware of the dissonance, you can start to repair it. Here's how. Step 1. Drop into the body. The body doesn't lie. If your stomach knots every time you say, "I'm thriving," that's feedback. If your chest closes every time you plan a launch, that's feedback. The goal is not to force the body to comply. The goal is to listen to what it's telling you. Often, your body carries the emotional history your mind has tried to forget. But that emotional memory is still emitting frequency. You must meet it not with resistance, but with presence. Step 2. Reconnect the heart and mind through breath. This is a simple practice used by coherence researchers and bioenergetic experts. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Bring your awareness to your heart. Begin slow, steady breathing, about 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. As you breathe, bring up a renewing emotion. Gratitude, care, love, appreciation. Let that emotion expand through your chest. Now bring your intention into that feeling. Not as a thought, but as an emotional state. What you're doing here is creating heart-brain synchronization. You're no longer thinking your goal. You're feeling it into existence. From the heart out. This creates coherence. Step 3. Test for congruence. After the coherence practice, bring your manifestation goal back into focus. Watch for the body's response. Does it relax, open, expand? If yes, your signal is clear. If no, go deeper. Ask, is this truly my desire? Or is it someone else's version of success? Am I emotionally prepared to receive what I say I want? What part of me is still afraid, and what does it need to feel safe? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being in truth. Because truth creates resonance. And resonance creates results. Step 4. Speak from coherence. When your mind and heart agree, your words carry power. They become frequency carriers, not empty affirmations. Stop saying things you don't feel. Stop forcing affirmations that feel hollow. Start speaking only what you're ready to embody. Say, I'm in the process of remembering my power. I'm aligning with the version of me that's ready. I'm releasing what no longer matches who I've become. These are not passive phrases. They're vibrational codes. Because they come from coherence, not performance. Step 5. Live from that harmony. Don't just feel coherence in meditation. Bring it into action. Let your decisions reflect unity. Let your habits reflect wholeness. Let your relationships reflect alignment. Every time you live in coherence, you train your system to stabilize that signal. And the more stable the signal, the faster the field mirrors it. This is how manifestation accelerates, not through intensity, but through consistency. Let's summarize the shift. You are not just a thinker, you are a transmitter. And the signal you send is only as strong as the agreement between your head and your heart. When your logic and your emotion say the same thing, without tension, without resistance, without compromise, your energy becomes irresistible. The field doesn't need to be convinced. It needs to be shown a unified signal. So stop battling your doubt with mental tricks. Stop layering affirmations over fear. And start building coherence from the inside out. Because when your internal world becomes unified, your external world becomes undeniable. Now that your heart and mind are syncing, it's time to look in the quantum mirror. Because the next revelation is this. The field doesn't give you what you ask for. It reflects what you already are. Let's take the mirror test. The field doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are. You've spoken the intention. You've tuned the frequency. You've practiced coherence between the heart and mind. And still, sometimes the manifestation doesn't land. Or it shows up distorted. Or it arrives and slips through your fingers. This leads to frustration, confusion, sometimes even doubt in the entire process. But what if the missing piece isn't outside you at all? What if it's not about whether the field is working? Because the field is always working. The real question is, are you a match to the version of life you're calling in? Or are you just visiting it occasionally? This is the truth most don't want to face. You do not receive what you want. You do not receive what you visualize. You receive what you are energetically, emotionally, and vibrationally. The quantum field is not a delivery system. It's a mirror, and mirrors don't judge. They don't edit. They don't filter based on potential. They reflect what's present. And if you keep asking, why isn't it here yet? That question alone is a clue, because it reveals your energetic identity. Someone still waiting, still separate from the version of reality they claim to be living. Let's go deeper. The field doesn't work through negotiation. It doesn't respond to how badly you want something. It doesn't care how many affirmations you've repeated or how many vision boards you've created. It mirrors the total energetic field you are broadcasting right now. That includes your emotional patterns, identity beliefs, internal dialogue, unconscious loyalties, nervous system tone, self-concept. The field reflects being, not effort. So if you're saying, I am abundant, but you're still unconsciously identifying as someone who doesn't deserve wealth, the mirror won't reflect abundance. Not because it's cruel, because it's flawlessly accurate. This is not punishment. This is precision. And the moment you stop trying to manipulate the reflection and start working on the frequency you're emitting, everything changes. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Identify your current energetic identity. This goes beyond what you want. This is about who you believe yourself to be by default, not when you're trying. Ask yourself, when no one's watching, who am I being? When I'm not performing alignment, what thoughts run the show? What emotional states feel like home, even if they're uncomfortable? You might be shocked by the answers, because most people carry identities that contradict their desires. They want expansion but identify as survivors. They want visibility but feel safer being unseen. They want success but still vibrate with self-rejection. Your job is not to shame yourself for this. Your job is to see it clearly so you can shift it consciously. Step 2. Redefine who you are at the frequency level. This isn't about telling new stories with no emotional weight. This is about building a new baseline of being. You do this by choosing a new energetic identity and reinforcing it, not by force but by feeling. Ask, what would it feel like to be a calm receiver instead of a frantic chaser? How would I move, speak, and make decisions if I already were the version of me who lives this desire? What inner tone would be present if I were fully safe to succeed? Then embody that, not perfectly, not theatrically, but persistently, because when embodiment becomes your default, the mirror has no choice. It must reflect back the matching timeline. Step 3. Stop checking the mirror for validation. This is the biggest mistake people make. They shift their energy, feel aligned for a moment, and then immediately start looking for proof. And the second they don't see the result, they collapse the identity. They slide back into the old version. This creates energetic instability. The field reads the wobble, and the reflection stays blurry. Let this be your new discipline. Stop using reality to measure your alignment. Start using your alignment to shape your reality. This is where inner authority is born. You decide who you are, not based on results but based on resonance. You hold the identity regardless of what the mirror shows. And when your signal becomes unwavering, the field locks in the new image. Then, and only then, does the external begin to reflect it. Step 4. Unhook from identities that no longer match your frequency. This can be confronting, because some parts of you are deeply attached to being the underdog, or the martyr, or the one who always has to fight, or the one who's always trying to figure it out. These identities may have served you in the past, but if you're still wearing them, they're dictating your present frequency, and therefore your present reality. You must let go of being someone who's always healing if you want to become someone who's fully living. You must let go of being someone who's working on it if you want to step into the version who already is it. Let go of the story. Claim the signal. This is how the mirror transforms. Let's summarize this transformation. The field reflects who you are, not what you ask for. Identity is vibrational, not conceptual. The mirror does not delay. It reflects instantly. If you don't like the reflection, change the signal, not the surface. You are not here to manipulate reality. You are here to become such a clear, coherent version of your truth that the field cannot help but respond. Stop wondering where your manifestation is. Start becoming the version of you that it belongs to. That version is already encoded in the field. Already whole. Already worthy. Already chosen. The mirror is ready. Now it's time to activate. And that's what we do next. Because now that you've cleared the signal, unified your system, and embodied a new frequency, it's time to apply practical quantum tools to anchor and accelerate your manifestation in real time. Now, we shift from understanding to activation. Ready to stop wishing and start shifting? You've spent the last several stages learning how reality actually works, how the field mirrors your frequency, how coherence powers alignment, how your identity shapes your outcomes, and how time itself isn't something you wait through but something you tune beyond. Now, the question becomes, how do you activate this power deliberately? How do you stop waiting for the field to reflect your alignment and start using practical, energetic tools to generate measurable shifts? Because understanding is not enough. You must move into embodied activation. That means learning how to work with the field in real time, not as an abstract concept, but as a living, responsive energy that's tuned by your intention, emotion, and frequency. This is where quantum manifestation becomes experiential. Let's get into the methods. Each technique you're about to learn is designed to help you access altered states, stabilize coherent frequencies, shift identity from the inside, recode subconscious signals, sync emotionally with your desired reality. These aren't tricks. These are field tuning tools, and they work when you use them consistently. Let's begin. Technique 1. Quantum State Priming, QSP. Before you interact with your day, before emails, phone calls, scrolling, you must prime your field. This involves setting your energetic tone first, not reacting to the world's tone. Here's how. Sit quietly. Breathe deeply and evenly for 2 to 3 minutes to calm your system. Bring to mind your desired timeline, not as a goal but as a version of self. Ask, what frequency does that version of me live in? Feel it. Anchor it in your body. Stand up if needed. Move with it. Speak a sentence from it. Once you feel resonance, clarity, calm, expansion, start your day from that frequency. Do this every morning. You're not visualizing. You're becoming. This trains your system to operate from your future, not chase it. Technique 2. Emotion-driven visualization. Most people visualize from a place of lack. They look at what they want from the outside. That keeps the outcome separate. You must visualize from inside the experience where the emotion already lives. Here's the shift. Enter a meditative state. Instead of seeing the result on a screen, place yourself inside the scene. Don't ask what you're doing. Ask how it feels. Amplify that emotion. Let it flood your chest, your breath, your voice. Anchor this emotional state in the body with a gesture, phrase, or posture. Repeat daily until the state becomes accessible on command. This emotion becomes your broadcast signal. It tells the field, this version is already real. Technique 3. Timeline rehearsal. You are already rehearsing timelines, you just don't know it. When you mentally prepare for rejection, rehearse disappointment, or expect delays, you're unconsciously rehearsing the version of reality you don't want. Time to reverse it. Choose one key desire: love, wealth, purpose, visibility. Then, write a script of your future self narrating how it all unfolded. Read it out loud. Feel it in your voice. Let your nervous system adjust to the success. Then rehearse it. Literally. Stand in front of a mirror. Walk around your room. Speak as if it already happened. Not as fantasy, but as frequency. The field reads the certainty, not the content. This conditions your field to normalize success, and when success becomes familiar, resistance fades. Technique 4. Subconscious reprogramming with theta states. The subconscious controls 95% of your frequency output, and it speaks in repetition and emotion, not logic. To influence it directly, access the theta brainwave state, a deeply relaxed state between sleep and waking. How? Use audio programs that guide you into theta, such as binaural beats or specific meditation tracks. Once in theta, repeat new identity statements, not like affirmations but like truths. Example, I trust my own power. Abundance is my native state. I am available for quantum leaps. Keep it emotionally charged. Speak slowly. Let each phrase drop in. This bypasses critical filters and installs new identity code into your system. Technique 5. Energetic field hygiene. Your field is not just influenced by your thoughts. It's affected by what you consume, who you engage with, what you listen to, and how you speak. Every interaction is a frequency exchange. So ask, who or what disrupts my frequency on a regular basis? What do I allow into my awareness that dilutes my alignment? Where do I still speak from lack, even casually? Begin curating your field. Reduce exposure to fear-based input. Unsubscribe from content that reinforces the old version of you. Speak only from the identity you are now claiming. Use energy-clearing tools like breathwork, salt baths, movement, or sound to keep your system clean. This isn't aesthetic. It's practical. A cleaner field transmits a clearer signal. Technique 6. Reality Feedback Integration, RFI. When the field responds, most people miss it or dismiss it. Small signs, random encounters, a shift in emotion. These are feedback loops confirming your signal is landing. You must treat these as evidence. How? Keep a quantum feedback journal. Every day, write down synchronicities, emotional shifts, intuitive nudges, things that feel like progress. Reflect on how they align with your signal. Use them to reinforce identity. Of course this showed up. I'm already living that frequency. This builds a trust feedback loop between you and the field. Trust equals stability. Stability equals acceleration. Let's pull this all together. Manifestation is not about controlling reality. It's about managing your frequency with skill, awareness, and consistency. Each of these tools is a tuner. Each one helps you embody a signal. Each one moves you from intention to identity. Use them not as rituals but as energy technology. You are not practicing for results. You are practicing to become the version of you who no longer needs results to feel aligned. And that's when results flood in. Not because you forced them, because you finally matched them. Now it's time to step beyond the technique into full ownership of your creative power. Because the final step isn't doing more. It's being fully who you came here to be. It's time to integrate. What happens when you finally stop chasing your reality and start becoming it? You've been told to visualize, affirm, wait, hustle, grind, and hope. But now you know better. You know that manifestation isn't about effort. It's about energy. It's about coherence. It's about becoming the version of you the quantum field can't help but reflect. And at this point, you've moved through every layer of that truth. You've seen that your frequency, not your words, writes the script of your life. You've seen that thoughts are tools, but being is the blueprint. You've seen how the field doesn't operate on time, it responds to tuning. You've learned how to sync with your future self, clear interference, and send a coherent, unshakable signal into the infinite fabric of potential. So now the question isn't, how do I manifest more? The question is, who am I becoming now that I know I'm the one creating all of it? This is the final phase. This is integration. This is expansion. Let's make this clear. You're not here to chase outcomes anymore. You're here to embody the field. You're here to live not as someone trying to manifest, but as someone who naturally shapes reality through their state of being. This is the shift from seeker to source. And it begins with one powerful truth. You are not separate from the field. You are the field experiencing itself through a human vessel. This isn't philosophy. This is structure. Your body is energy. Your emotions are charge. Your consciousness is a signal. You're not influencing reality from the outside. You're creating it from within. So from this moment forward, you stop doing manifestation. You start living as a field-aligned being. And that means one thing above all else. Living from the now frequency of your chosen self. Not waiting, not wishing, not checking. Living. That's integration. Integration is the act of no longer needing reminders, because truth has become your baseline. You're not hoping for alignment. You are alignment. Let's map this out practically. Step 1. Declare a permanent energetic identity. Pick it. Own it. Stabilize it. You've explored your potential self. Now, you make it real not by proving anything to the world, but by locking it in energetically. Decide. This is who I am now. This is what I radiate. This is what my field holds. Regardless of temporary appearances. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to repeat it 10,000 times. You need to live it, unapologetically and uninterrupted. Step 2. Maintain your field through energetic integrity. This is how you stay expanded. You no longer allow yourself to slip into identities that don't belong to your new frequency. You notice when fear tries to regress you. You notice when old habits try to reattach. You notice when the external world tries to mirror back a version of you you've outgrown. And instead of reacting, you respond as your chosen self. That's mastery. Energetic integrity means choosing your alignment over your past, over other people's opinions, over comfort. It's radical, and it's real. Step 3. Live in relationship with the field. You're not here to control reality. You're here to co-create. Start treating the field like an intelligent, responsive partner. You don't micromanage it. You don't beg it. You work with it. You send a clear signal. You follow nudges. You observe feedback. You respond in alignment. This is an ongoing dance, a relationship built on trust, not force. Let go of, I need to manifest this. Replace it with, I trust the field to match my energy, and I trust myself to hold that energy. That trust creates space, and space invites flow. Step 4. Expand your baseline. Expansion doesn't mean doing more. It means holding more without collapsing. More joy, more love, more wealth, more freedom. As your signal strengthens, your field will pull in higher quality reflections. And that requires capacity. So ask, can I allow abundance without guilt? Can I receive love without fear of loss? Can I stand in my truth without shrinking? Expansion means not flinching as the mirror gets brighter. Because that brightness is you. Let it reflect. Let it amplify. Let it grow. Step 5. Teach through embodiment. You don't need to teach manifestation with words. Your life becomes the transmission. Your presence becomes the invitation. Your energy becomes the evidence. This is how you expand your impact without effort. You walk into a room and people feel the coherence. You speak a truth and people feel its vibration. You hold a standard and the field aligns around you. This is energetic leadership. And it's born from integration, not performance. Let's lock it in. You've moved from learning to knowing, from knowing to being, from being to becoming, and now from becoming to creating consciously, consistently, expansively. You no longer need to fix, chase, or force. You are the frequency now. You are the field now. You are the version now. The quantum field is not a fantasy. It's the very fabric of who and what you are. And now that you've aligned with it, there's nothing left to manifest, only realities to reveal. You are not here to survive timelines. You are here to select them, to stabilize them, to radiate them. So speak clearly, feel deeply, act with integrity, and live with the calm knowing that your entire reality is not something happening to you, but something happening through you. You are the signal. You are the creator. You are the field. And now you remember,